Chapter 11. The Blood Tunnel. They said it cried, but it sounded like people screaming. Smoke didn't say a word as he moved deeper into the sewer. Every step felt like he was walking through the insides of a body that shouldn't be alive. The walls sweated, the floors pulsed beneath his boots. Somewhere behind him, K-Doll wiped her face with her sleeve, sniffled, and spit blood from biting her own lip too hard. But she kept walking. Tanisha was gone, just like that. 1 minute breathing, the next, nothing but a scream and a wet hole where her stomach used to be. Bent Horn had turned into a fucking open grave. "What we even doing, Smoke?" K-Doll's voice broke behind him. "What we even chasing? That thing already won." Smoke didn't turn. "It ain't over till it's dead." "You saw Tanisha. That wasn't a kill. That was a message. I heard her." His voice came out like crushed gravel. "And I ain't letting her voice be the last fucking one we hear down here." She didn't argue again. They came to a fork. Left path sloped upward, dry. Right side dipped deeper, almost like a throat. It smelled fouler too, more sour, like bile and rot and wet meat. Smoke pointed right. They went in. Down there, the tunnel narrowed. Pipes dripped, blood smeared across the walls in handprints. Some tiny, some not. There were drag marks in the slime, trails of bodies maybe, trails of prey. K-Doll nearly lost her footing again, but steadied herself with the metal pipe she carried. Up ahead, they saw it. A chamber, open space, like the creature had hollowed it out. Guts lined the walls. Intestines, spines, bits of flesh hung like decorations. It was a nest. K-Doll gagged. "This shit looked like Satan threw a fucking baby shower." Smoke stepped forward. There, in the center of it all, was Tanisha. Her body hung from the ceiling, arms spread like wings, stomach wide open but still bleeding. Her eyes blinked once. "She's still fucking alive!" K-Doll screamed. Smoke dropped his gun and ran. He got halfway across the chamber when the creature dropped, silent, from above. It landed between them. This time it didn't attack right away. It studied them. 4 arms, legs jointed backwards like a spider, flesh like translucent jelly stretched over cords of black muscle. You could see its organs pulse under the surface. And its face. It was wearing one. Half of a human face draped like a mask. Tanisha's mouth. It opened its jaws. A sound came out. "Help! Me!" It mimicked in her voice. K-Doll screamed. Smoke dove, grabbed the gut gun and fired. The creature dodged with unnatural speed, zigzagged across the walls like a centipede on crack. K-Doll swung her pipe, missed, and slipped in gore. It lunged. Smoke threw his body between it and her, knife drawn, and slashed. He caught its leg. Black blood exploded, hissing like lava on water. It squealed and retreated for a second. K-Doll scrambled up and grabbed the napalm jar from Smoke's side. "I got 1 shot left," she said through clenched teeth. "Make it count." The creature roared and charged again, this time going for Smoke. K-Doll popped the cap, lit the fuse, and threw it dead center. Boom. The jar exploded in a white-hot burst. Smoke caught flames to the coat but rolled fast enough to smother it. The creature howled. Its entire right side melted. Flesh peeled back, ribs exposed, a leg blown clean off. It limped now, dragging a stump, but it still moved. It crawled toward Tanisha's hanging body. Smoke rose, covered in ash, eyes bloodshot. "You ain't taking nothing else." He sprinted across the room, raised the gut gun like a club, and smashed it down into the creature's skull. Once, twice, a third time for every time it mimicked her scream. The skull cracked. Black ichor poured like motor oil. It writhed, twitched. Then it stopped. Finally. Tanisha was gone. But her mouth, it still hung on that monster's face. Smoke looked at K-Doll. "Burn it, all of it." They soaked the nest in fuel. Every gut, every scrap of bone, every cursed symbol carved into the walls, and lit the bitch up. As the flames rose, They climbed out the tunnel the long way, through the storm drains behind the junkyard. Smoke's arms bled. K-Doll's legs shook with every step, but they made it. They stood under the stars. Black smoke rose behind them. Bent Horn still stood. K-Doll slumped against the rusted shell of a pickup truck outside the junkyard, her right arm wrapped tight with gauze strips stolen from Tanisha's old first aid stash. The acid had eaten clean through to the bone just above her elbow. The skin there looked like spoiled meat. Smoke sat across from her, sleeves rolled, a gash across his ribs stitched with fishing line and black rage. His boots dripped with tunnel filth and the stink of burned monster flesh. They didn't speak, not for a while. The sky above Bent Horn was black and empty, the kind of silence that made a town feel like the last place on earth. Somewhere far off, a dog barked once, then didn't again. K-Doll finally broke the quiet. "You think it's really dead?" Smoke rubbed his jaw. "It lost a leg. Had its whole fucking face crushed. Burned alive. If it ain't dead, it's begging for it." She closed her eyes and leaned her head back. "I heard it scream when the flames took it, but it didn't sound like no animal. It sounded like us. Like it was crying with all the voices it stole." Smoke didn't answer, because he'd heard it too. The thing hadn't died silent. It had wept in the voices of Tanisha, Junior, Redbone, even Mookie. 100 dead mouths crying through one burning throat. Smoke stood up, paced toward the edge of the lot where the sewer grate lay twisted and blackened. He stared into the dark below. Wind whispered through the hole like a breath through cracked teeth. He lit a cigarette with fingers that wouldn't stop shaking. K-Doll joined him, dragging her pipe across the gravel like it owed her money. "You still planning to trap it?" she asked, voice low. "Already did." "But what if it ain't the only one?" Smoke exhaled smoke into the dark. "Then we bury every fucking tunnel in this town, collapse it, pour concrete till hell can't find the way back." They walked, back into town, every window shut, every porch light off. Streets looked like they'd been abandoned in the middle of a funeral. Some houses had red X's painted on the door. Others had bed sheets hanging like surrender flags. Nobody came outside. Nobody wanted to know if Smoke and K-Doll were the only ones who'd made it back. Smoke banged on the sheriff's office door. No answer. Inside, he found what was left of Chief Dunlap, upside down, hanging from the ceiling fan like a fucking deer carcass, legs split, gut opened clean, insides dripping in a slow, polite spiral onto the floor. "Jesus," K-Doll whispered. Smoke stared at the body. "Guess that's the creature's way of saying goodbye." K-Doll turned away, stomach lurching. Smoke didn't flinch. He pulled the radio from Dunlap's desk, clicked every channel. Static. He picked up the landline. Dead. He checked the power box in the hallway. Sliced wires. "Phones are gone. Radio too." K-Doll didn't ask what that meant. They both knew. There was no help coming. They lit signal fires in 3 spots across town: school roof, water tower, and the junkyard. K-Doll wrote "help" in bleach across a bedsheet and hung it from the courthouse steps. Smoke climbed to the roof of the Dollar Saver and watched the tree line with binoculars. 3 nights passed. 3 more people died. A woman in a trailer park was found with her intestines missing but her wedding ring still on. A trucker on the edge of town had his guts draped over his own steering wheel. A child disappeared from a locked bedroom. No sign of entry, just a streak of bile across the window frame. The creature wasn't just alive. It was multiplying. On the 4th night, the sky filled with lights, helicopters, trucks, men in suits with badges that didn't name a department. The government rolled in with smiles and clipboards, asking all the right questions with all the wrong answers. Must have been a gas leak. Delusional hysteria. Wild dog attacks. Smoke didn't say shit. K-Doll played dumb. The black SUVs packed up 3 days later. No funerals held, no news crews allowed. Bent Horn was red-zoned and left to rot in silence. Smoke and K-Doll stood outside the junkyard again, The fires long burned down. The smell of blood soaked into the soil. He stared at the horizon, jaw tight. If it ever comes back, it ain't gone. K-Doll cut him off. He turned. She held up a jar. Inside, suspended in green fluid, was a piece of bone. But it wasn't just bone. It was still twitching. A jaw fragment, hooked and sharp, pulsing like it remembered breath. Smoke stared at it. K-Doll whispered, "It left something behind." They both stared at the jar like it was a time bomb, because deep down, they knew. This wasn't over. Not even close.